I want to make a short video today just comparing two recent interactions that I've both had and witnessed in regards to customer service in the knife industry and what I would consider exceptional behavior on both ends of the spectrum, both positive and negative. Two very different approaches that a maker or manufacturer has taken in regard to dealing with and interacting with a client. I bought this knife from Mark Richmond, Chef's Knives to Go, mainly because I was interested in the steel. It had a couple of problems. I rectified most of them. Steel still isn't where I think it should be, but the edge was seriously overheated when I got it. The tip was actually burnt visibly. You could see scaling, which is a horrible sign. Stainless steel will overheat long before it shows visible scaling, for the same reason that it resists oxidization, rust, because scaling is just another form of oxidization. I contacted Mark Richmond, the maker or manufacturer, whatever way you want to look at it, and basically outlined the issues that I had, noted that I resolved all of them, and he basically thanked me for contacting him and said he'd talk to the manufacturer of the knife and hopefully get the problem resolved in subsequent runs. And that was it. And I was kind of taken aback because that's essentially all he said. You know, not like, hey, sorry you had so much trouble, here is something as some sign of compensation or goodwill. Never asked for it, just thought it was odd. A while ago, a friend of mine who posts as Hunter Seeker on the Towards 0.1 micron forum and as Watt 4 on YouTube had an issue with an AEBL knife that he bought from Mark Richmond. He had a number of issues in regards to sharpening it and edge holding. We had some discussions and some of the problems worked out, but some of them didn't, and some of them were quite traumatic. And he had significant edge failure on very, very low stress use. And I'll put up some links and you can have a look at it. When we were discussing it, I said, have you contacted the maker manufacturer? And I always recommend that people do this because I believe it's a fair and just approach. If you're going to criticize somebody, at least criticize it to them so they can see and hear your complaints and have an ability to clarify any misconceptions you have. Don't do it in private. If you're going to do it, at least give them the opportunity to respond. So he contacted him, basically sent him an email. And here's where it gets into Twilight Zone level response. Mark Richmond then takes that email, posts it on his discussion forum, including the real name of the person who sent him the email, Hunter Seeker or Watt 4, publicly on the internet. Now there's a whole bunch of things that are wrong with that. Some people don't like their private information posted on the internet and choose to go by pseudonyms. Taking a customer complaint and putting it up on your forum is sort of an odd way to deal with it in general, especially when it started off as a private interaction between two individuals. And of course what happened is what you expect to happen when a bunch of shills started gangbanging. Oh yeah, well you don't know, and they got very insulting and personal. Nobody actually dealt with the complaint in a pragmatic problem-solving approach. And again, I'll put links up that you can have a look at and see that response. So absolutely horrible customer service from my perspective. So that's it for me with Mark Richmond and Chef's Knives to Go. Absolutely horrible. In contrast, and it may be a fault of mine that I don't give out praise often enough where it's due, so Clay Allison makes the Wicked Edge Sharpener. I've been fairly critical of the Wicked Edge Sharpener for a number of reasons. Posted them publicly. Clay is aware of my perspective. We don't have uniform agreement, and that's fine. Different people have different perspectives. Recently, I've asked Clay for some information on the way he takes high magnification shots, because he has some of the clearest, most detailed pictures of edges that I've seen, and they totally blow the pictures that I take out of the water. It makes what I take look completely juvenile and amateurish, which it is. But he's looked much more professional. So I was discussing with him what microscopes does he use, how does he actually take the pictures and stuff like that. And he was very friendly, telling me exactly what equipment he used. And when I even said, you know, I'd be curious what they look like in this orientation, that's why I was interested in getting some better pictures, he immediately took a bunch of knives and took some pictures exactly how I would want to look at them, to see if it would benefit what I was thinking about to get some of the equipment that he had. And again, remember now, this is an individual that I was fairly critical of the product that he was selling. And I've never purchased anything from him. I did purchase this from Mark Richmond of Chef's Knives to Go. Customer service I got from him was relatively poor. Okay to neutral at best. The customer service that Hunter Seeker or Watt 45 got was abysmal. In contrast, Clay Allison, maker of the Wicked Edge, never bought any product from, relatively critical of, and goes out of his way to be helpful. As just another example, Hunter Seeker 5, Watt 4, also posted some commentary on my forum talking about the Wicked Edge and problems that he had with it. And he did not have a glowing review. There's no way you would look at it from that perspective. And it was, again, neutral at best. Negative was how many people would take it. Clay Allison found out about it. He's a member of my forum. He doesn't post very often. But immediately contacted the same individual to try to work out a solution. Excellent customer service. So much so that I'm actually thinking about purchasing a Wicked Edge for no other reason than just to support someone who has that view of how you should interact with customers, and people that are not even customers like me, but are just simply interested in exchanging information. And in the knife industry, this kind of extremely polarization in behavior is quite common. And one of the main reasons why I pick to work with makers that I do pick to work with, and you'll often see me once I use some knives, I end up buying a lot of knives from one particular maker and manufacturer. The customer service of level of interaction is critical to that. Because for me, not only is it a respect thing, is it a character thing. Interacting with someone, discussing your results, sharing it with them, is part of what makes using knives and doing the experiments that I do worthwhile and enjoyable. It wouldn't be nearly as enjoyable or worthwhile if the maker had absolutely no interest in what I was doing and was openly hostile and critical about it. Yes, I still do it with some knives like that. But it's much more rewarding when you have someone who wants to work with you and gain and share and grow knowledge together. But again, two very different approaches to customer service, customer interaction. Huge positive, huge thumbs up to Clay Allison of the Wicked Edge. Post a link to his forum. Very in-depth discussions on sharpening and of course using the Wicked Edge. Post a link to the Chef's Knives to Go forum as well. If you like shill forums, that's a great shill forum.